All right, we're just inviting some speakers to the stage here. Bear with me.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can, Slim.
Awesome. Nice to hear you.
Dennis, why don't you request one more time to come to the panel?
Hey everyone, thanks for having me.
All right, we're getting a little bug on Twitter. I'm going to have our speakers here join on Zoom, and then we'll get started. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Hey, Dennis, we got you on Zoom.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Hey, everyone.
Awesome. And we'll wait for Brenton to join as well on Zoom. But yeah, let's get started. Thanks for everyone for tuning in. This is Taoist JC, and we are back with another ZetaRadio live here. So the goal of these sessions is to publicly share updates on ZetaChain, and we feature different contributors and partners from the ever-growing Zeta community and ecosystem. You may see in the title of this space is that ZetaChain goes open source in what is probably the biggest news since we last spoke. So Node software is now public as of late last week, as well as doc site blockchain protocol contracts, and then a growing library of examples and tools to help developers build Zeta apps. And that will continue to be the ecosystem's focus. And we're going to do that together because ZetaChain is now open for contributions from anyone. And this was always the plan for ZetaChain. If you read the white paper, it is intended to be a public, decentralized L1 blockchain in its approach to supporting interoperability and all things cross-chain. And if you've been following ZetaChain in the community, you know that this is what makes ZetaChain special, its connectivity. So yeah, let's start with Zeta blockchain today, and then we're going to get into community and ecosystem to wrap things up. And we have a few Zeta app builders that will be joining us into this session. But to start out, we got Brandon on the line, lead product contributor at ZetaChain, as well as Dennis, lead contributor for developer experience at ZetaChain. Gentlemen, thank you both for joining us.
Happy to be here.
Awesome. I'll go to Brandon first. Let's just level set with the listeners and start with Athens testnet. So this is the latest long-term version of ZetaChain, which was launched a few weeks ago. Brandon, tell us what is Athens and tell us about the ongoing incentivized testnet program that you're helping lead.
Yeah, sure. Happy to talk about all of that. So Athens, for those of you who don't know, is ZetaChain's testnet. And more recently, we just launched Athens 3, which is the latest testnet with the latest features that is supposed to essentially be a model testnet to move into mainnet eventually too. And that means it's, generally feature complete. We will be doing upgrades with the network in a more decentralized manner with external validators. And that is what the incentivized testnet program revolves around. So you guys might have seen in our Discord, we have a node zone, and that is where we are announcing upgrades to the Athens 3 network and performing voting proposals, actual voting, and upgrades with you guys, which is very exciting. So that has come with a lot of learnings, just general process for validator operators to understand how things will go for upgrades. We'll be doing some various stress testing, scenario testing, and that sort of thing, so that the ZetaChain development team, as well as the general validator ecosystem, can just learn together. And yeah, on top of that, a lot of validator contributors are not only operating validator, but also building public goods. So things like explorers, RPC support for ZetaChain, APIs, different ways to participate in the network, like governance interfaces and things like that, which is awesome, as well as just generally helping each other out with documentation and learnings that people find as they are operating on different systems or different clouds or bare metal and all of that.
Nice. And I think according to the public plan, we should be in phase 2 right now. Are things tracking accordingly? Like, how's that process going?
Yeah. So, so we are in phase 2 right now. Things are going well. We will announce the end of phase 2, probably targeting end of July, and give roughly a 1-week heads up to validator operators in terms of like when they need to get their tasks in. And for those of you who are participating in the testnet who receive those emails, we have the main webpage, the Notion site that has all of the tasks involved for phase 2, mostly focused on just generating transactions and testing some of the core features of ZetaChain. That was helping lightly load test didn't work.
Great. Also, I just shot you both another speaker request. We'll see if that works. Anyway, in the meantime, we'll go to you, Dennis. So we can just get to the big news here. ZetaChain is now open sourced. And so I think people in the community might be tuning in and asking, why is this a big deal in the first place? And so maybe you could walk us through why this matters to the developers and validators, but also just normal folks following ZetaChain and participating in the ecosystem.
Yeah, sure. So it's super exciting because, in my opinion, public blockchains should definitely be open source, and there are so many reasons for why is that the case. So basically, for validators, it's crucially important to have the node of the project you're validating for open source, so that you can know exactly the code that you're running on your infrastructure, right? So you need to know exactly what it is that you're running before you commit, and that's why open sourcing before mainnet was very important. They can also make suggestions and improvements to how the software works to make it easier for other validators to become part of the network, right? So they don't necessarily have to be developers. They can improve infrastructure, the build process, so many things that can be extended and iterated upon. For end users, it's open sourcing is important because when the mainnet is launched, their end users are effectively trusting value to the protocol. So it's just open sourcing. When the protocol is open sourced, it gives additional peace of mind to end users, knowing that hundreds or potentially thousands of people have read the source code and try to find any kind of bugs and all that happened before mainnet, right? So
Right.
the more public it is, the less chances that something slipped through the cracks. For developers, of course, it's much more obvious, right? If you want to become a ZetaChain contributor, specifically to the core protocol written in Go using Cosmos SDK, you can now do that. You can look up all the issues we have open. We have a growing number of good first issues. If you just want to start contributing, if you don't have that much experience with Cosmos SDK, you can still find something you can fix or improve. And of course, if you're building end user applications, it's just easier when you know exactly how the protocol works. We have documentation for the node as well. It's going to be published on the docs website pretty soon, but you can already access it in the repos. You go to github.com ZetaChain/node. You will be able to see the docs in the docs directory. So yeah, it's super exciting, and it is a huge milestone for the project.
Very nice. Love it. And, I sit more on the community side, and I think what folks will appreciate is that exactly what you said. We're doing the security audits on protocol and everything, but now there are a whole lot more eyeballs on the code. And then, of course, talented developers and people that are contributing to the ecosystem. I'll turn to Brandon on the same topic. Anything that you would add as far as the trust implications from going open source? Anything to add to what Dennis mentioned?
Yeah, I think, or I guess one, can you guys hear me? I'm now a speaker and not on Zoom.
Yeah, you sound better.
Okay, great. Awesome. So yeah, I think it goes back to, the incentivized testnet model, and then also just more broadly being able to contribute to the network. Like at this point, or leading up to this point, we're not open source, and a lot of developers and people operating the validator software didn't really know what was going on in ZetaChain. But at this point, people can really, you can build the node from the source. You can know exactly what's going on, inspect and debug as you need. So that kind of just levels the playing field. Like a contributor to date knows a lot about ZetaChain that people did not, but now anyone can know and anyone can contribute to the repository, push for changes, propose changes. So yeah, it really is just a nod to us aiming to be a fully decentralized network. I'm just kind of echoing what Dennis just walked through.
For sure. And it begs the question, it's like, what would we like to start seeing from participants contributing to ZetaChain? If you're a developer listening, or you write smart contracts, like maybe, Dennis, I'll pose this to you. Are there specific areas that you would encourage people to look into?
Yeah, so can you hear me?
Yes, we got you.
So there are many ways you can contribute. I think one of the main ways, even if you haven't yet contributed to the source code, you can actually go through tutorials, and if you find something that is not working or you find an opportunity for improvement, you can create an issue in the docs repo and either fix it or someone else will pick it up and contribute a fix to that. So any improvements are welcome. So even in terms of like phrasing and of course content, if you want to see something in the docs, you can also create an issue describing what it is. that you think would be a great addition to the docs, like maybe an additional example or something is not clear. So yeah, even by creating issues with specific requests can really help the project grow.
Great. And Brandon, how do you see the ecosystem contributing, like new tutorials, new smart contract examples for ZetaChain? What would you like to see?
Yeah, there are kind of things people can contribute to at every level of the stack. So it starts at the node level. So with the new primary node repo, for those who are more inclined to look into that, things like bug reporting, we have an immunified bug bounty, which, now that you have the full source, you may be able to find more or dig into more vulnerabilities than you could before, rather than it just being a black box. Of course, as Dennis said, contributing issues if you find them, even commenting on code, like just typos or formatting things, are super valuable. And then we go a level up to, like documentation, tutorials, examples. If you're building something on ZetaChain, like a dApp, whether it's a front-end utility, smart contract example, like a template someone else could build on top of, or a new just open source contract that you think is valuable to give to the ecosystem to build on top of, that's super helpful. And then so on top of that, there are other repositories other than the docs and node repo that you can look at, like the examples, contracts and protocol contracts. So those are also places you can look into, both for learning, but also for contributions. And then the last layer I see is more just like application level. So you can see on our Twitter, a lot of people are building on ZetaChain right now and launching on testnet. So helping all of those people, and some of those people are on the call today, debug and find issues and just learn more about their product offerings and honing in on their value is super helpful. Whether that's, if they're open source, contributing to their code with issues in a similar way, or just bug reports and feedback like, hey, I wish we had this feature. And so our app ecosystem could definitely use the help there, and ZetaChain's products like the Explorer or the doc site, or even our like main ZetaChain.com site. If you see something that has issue, definitely report it, and we would love to see you contributing in that way too. So it doesn't have to be anything super technical, even if it's something like, hey, like this translation here in our internationalization for our website isn't quite correct with my language. That is just as valuable.
Great. Thanks, Brandon, and everyone tuning in. We're talking about the long-term testnet Athens, which is now live. Hundreds of companies are building on it. So Dennis, let's talk a little bit about developer experience milestones in July. I think your group is revamping the documentation to help developers realize the cross-chain capabilities that Athens provides right now. I think I heard Bitcoin tutorials are in the pipeline. Catch us up on top DevX priorities in July.
Yeah, absolutely. So all of the tutorials are updated to Athens 3. They're going to be released probably later this week or maybe early next week. So all tutorials now are in the example contracts repo. They all have deploy scripts to interact with them. So it's incredibly easy and straightforward to start playing with them. We also introducing a new repo called Toolkit, which contains helper contracts and hard hat tasks And I think they are going to help developers streamline their process tremendously. For example, we now, every time you broadcast a transaction, automatically gets tracked, and if something goes wrong, for example, you didn't submit enough fees, it will show up right in the terminal, so you don't even need to leave the terminal to understand what goes on with your cross-chain transaction. We're also adding functionality for developers to quickly send tokens between chains. So sending native tokens to ZetaChain and ZRC20, sending Zeta tokens between connected chains. And more importantly, even sending testnet Bitcoin from Bitcoin network to ZetaChain and calling contracts. So this is very handy if you're building a contract that is meant to be called from Bitcoin. You can do that now very easily without even installing third-party wallets, and it's right out of the box. And small things like checking balances now shows all tokens you have, including ZRC20 on ZetaChain, native tokens, Bitcoin on Zeta. Like all of this, you can access right from your terminal. So we're gonna probably have a Bitcoin tutorial pretty soon, and I'm very excited about that. But overall, I'm very happy about how it all kind of comes together with Athens 3, and we now have kind of the whole developer experience updated and ready for you to try out and start building on the chain.
Very nice. And, maybe let's wrap up this section. You speak of the hot topic, Bitcoin, and I guess I'll pose this to you, Brandon. A lot of solutions are claiming to involve Bitcoin in DeFi, big opportunity there. What's different about ZetaChain's approach to Bitcoin interoperability? And maybe you could predict what that next killer app might be.
Yeah, this is a really fun topic. So there are a lot of approaches to bringing Bitcoin into DeFi. I guess it goes again in levels. So you have the centralized exchange approach where people can trade Bitcoin and then they can also trade other things in a centralized place. So that, kind of brings Bitcoin into a financial system. And then you can withdraw it out to your decentralized wallet from there if you want. And then the next level, which is probably the most robust right now, is kind of like bridging Bitcoin into something like Ethereum. So having some sort of client that lets you deposit Bitcoin and then have it on Ethereum mainnet or something like that, something like BTCB or I think Rainbow Bridge is another good example, or TBTC. And then, so that kind of, it has the same bridging implications where you have Bitcoin in this vault and then you can, program it or use it against things on Ethereum mainnet or whatever you're bridging it to in that chain. And then this new sort of like early Bitcoin smart contract or Bitcoin sidechain approach where someone deploys the blockchain that is specifically pointing at Bitcoin in some way or reading from Bitcoin, and then it lets you layer in some lock into it. And then, of course, you have BRC20, which is different model that may not be worth getting into here, but kind of lets you deploy smart contracts into Bitcoin directly.
Right.
For ZetaChain, the kind of big difference is we let you bring Bitcoin into ZetaChain, but also let you trade all of that against assets on other chains. So you could think of ZetaChain almost as a side chain for every chain. But in a single place. So you could have a smart contract on ZetaChain that takes input as Bitcoin and then outputs USDC on Polygon. That in itself kind of unlocks a new ease and a new level of building logic into the Bitcoin network. So you could have more simply just like a Bitcoin focused smart contract, but more broadly, smart contract that controls everything. So you could have, and maybe this gets into the killer use cases question you asked, where you can have a multi-sig wallet, and DSig might talk about that more today, but that could custody your Bitcoin, but then also trade that against some other asset on Ethereum mainnet, on Polygon, and then I think projects or killer use cases go into just unlocking Bitcoin for real as an asset that can be activated. So legitimate Bitcoin staking or Bitcoin yield applications like lending, or we were just talking to a project this morning looking at building a new Bitcoin CDP. So something like MakerDAO DAI, but focus specifically on unlocking Bitcoin liquidity in the same way. So I think those are very, very cool use cases. And there is this whole body of Bitcoin users who are keen on holding their Bitcoin in their Bitcoin wallets in a sense. And this lets you have that native liquidity, native ability to withdraw, but also lets you activate the Bitcoin that you have. So we believe there's a huge population of Bitcoin holders that will use this and haven't really been tapped into by the current Bitcoin offerings. So it's super greenfield. It's very exciting for us and a lot of developers we're talking to now who are building on top of ZetaChain.
Indeed. And if you didn't catch that, Brandon's talking about the fact that you can actually, as a user or smart contract, it can hold real native Bitcoin on the Bitcoin network, and then you can involve that in DeFi apps. Definitely a new frontier. And as you alluded to, a lot of Zeta apps are developing this for mainnet. So you'll actually be able to experience it. And you can actually do that now on testnet in Zeta Labs. So yeah, we'll do a whole spaces and more content on that opportunity to come. But let's wrap it up there. So you just heard from Brandon, lead product contributor at ZetaChain. He's going to open up WebEx Tokyo on July 25th with a ZetaChain keynote. And then you also just heard from Dennis, lead contributor for all of developer experience at ZetaChain. You can find him at ETH Global Paris next week, running probably our biggest Zeta hackathon to date. And we're going to share updates and live streams and stuff on social. So, gentlemen, thank you for jumping on ZetaRadio.
Thanks, Jonathan.
All right, let's move to community. Allow me to introduce Slem. He is the lead ambassador for all of CIS and a pretty legendary Zeta Knight in the community, I must say. Slem, thanks for joining ZetaRadio.
Hello, thank you very much.
Excellent. So look, I think a lot of people recognize your name around the community. You've done a tremendous job contributing to ZetaChain. Maybe tell us how you found Zeta and what does the CIS community look like today? Probably one of the most active across the globe.
Okay. Nice question. Firstly, I want to say hello everyone. Hello to all our listeners and speakers. I'm very glad to see you all here today, and I am just a very pleasure to perform on this stage today and to represent our CIS community of ZetaChain. Thank you very much. And about second question, how I found ZetaChain. As many of our CIS users know, I have my own crypto community. We often name it gazebo, or a chat room where crypto enthusiasts share information about other projects. At the moment, I have unfortunately unburdened this community, as many of I have absolutely no time for it. But about a year ago, I tried to keep it quite active. And one day, one of the users just shared a referral link in our Altair chat on Zeta Labs and told us to go and make one swap on the platform. So he could not get point. I went further and started dig it deeper. Found ZetaChain Twitter and Discord community. Joined it. Found out that I came at an early phase, and that moment documents, articles, announcements, and any information that was related to ZetaChain were not translated into Russian. I started to study hard the project, translate materials, help other users in chat answering their question, and try to help solve their problems that were connected either because of the conflict of wallets in their browser or something like this, which was on the user side. After that, you, Jonathan, accepted me as an ambassador for the Russian branch, and that's how my work started. Then, after some time, we together with you decided to create task for our community ZetaChain or on Crew3 platform. I still remember that moment with a smile on my face. It made a sensation on our Discord server, and we started a house of 1 million messages per second from our users. I often remember that time, yes, that I had to sit 24 hours a day and check every article or step-by-step guide written by our users, because everyone wanted to get the covered contributor role on our Discord server. I would say that if there was not such tool as AI, then maybe this madness would have continued until now. It's good that we remove this task, because the articles where users acquainted our project with medical service, it was too much. AI is not so good that it can be used without personal manual double checking. Now, since I have a little more free time, I try to direct it as much as possible to our community. For example, our summer logic games with Alien. I myself draw in Photoshop for each individual banner and badge, which is called Web3 status token, shortly West. Allen and me design and create different intellectual tasks and quests, one of which lasts for 3 long hours. It was quests with the Enigma Man, where our users had to solve the seed phrase of the wallet, and on which the NFT was placed, on which there was a hint in the form of a hashtag, which the users had to type in Twitter to find a post from our Enigma, in which there was a QR code, which in turn led to the final form. And having completed which, users go to the list of our winners and this.
Hey, Slim, let me jump in. Yeah, you guys are incredibly active. There's contests, AMAs every week. I want to dig into one thing. Tell us about the Zeta members NFT collection. I think one of the really powerful properties of Web3 is having ownership. And so that allows for the creation of sub-communities and new value creation. And so you guys launched an NFT collection. What are your plans for that?
Okay, good question. At the moment, we have partnership with .zeta domains and with our main NFT project. Our ZetaChain mascot is Zeta Knight, where the holders of our Zeta members NFT will receive privileges and whitelists depending on the rarity of their NFT member. Unfortunately, I cannot say in full picture about this because many projects in very early stage, yes, and I want to say about this. Stay tuned and follow our announcements in our regional branch. And yes.
Fair. Yeah, we see you striking partnerships with Zeta apps out there, and curious to see how it develops. There are so many ways you could take it as the ZetaChain ecosystem develops. I guess to close out here, maybe share one thing you are excited about with the Zeta launch.
Yeah, sure. I'm actually excited about absolutely everything. It's true. It's hard to really visualize it for someone else, and maybe someone might think I'm being sly but I'm not. I'm being completely truthful. The first most important thing that excites me is, of course, the idea, namely to connect all blockchains together and make the user's experience with cryptocurrency as if everything is on the one chain without risk and wrapping. I'm excited about the minds behind all of this. Our team, without exception. I'm excited about our successful our testnet phases are. I'm very much afraid to say more, really, but it's really amazing. I'm happy about the teamwork, how warm, friendly, and responsive everyone is. I have not seen this everywhere before. It makes me very happy. And now, about the most important thing, about our main network, yes, I'm definitely excited about the fact that we are as close as we can get to launching and the main network. I think we have done everything and more than we can do for it. There are still a few small final things left. I think it won't take long in the context of crypto time. We have come along sometimes hard and exciting way. Looking back, I see thousands of very talented users who have contributed to our success. I see many genius minds who make us better every day. I see our community with very strong enthusiasm in the eyes who give us the most important things in our lives. It's their time. I like to check our Discord chat every day, and it's a pleasure to see the atmosphere in them, how our protectorates in general branches are helping users every second by answering their question. It makes me happy because I see that ZetaChain has become for many crypto nomads a kind of home place where the users can always come after his busy work, for example, or on his weekend to sit down with a cup of coffee and chatting with his friends. It really makes me happy. I'm also happy that now more and more often we are joined by a lot of girls and looking ahead. I heard it to say that they have even cooperated with each other and are preparing their AMA session timed to our project ZetaChain on our Discord server. It's great to watch all this and also to know that you are part of something bigger than we are, in my opinion. I
Right.
think I think we are a revolutionary blockchain, a platform of smart contracts with its own EVM, name it ZVM, on which every developer can build any decentralized product, which in turn will support all the chains, even non-smart contracts like Bitcoin, Dogecoin, Monero, and others. I'm also excited about our ecosystem of launch partners. I see in real time how many new partners are joining us, how the number of depths on our platform is growing. I'm very excited about it all. Uh, and I have probably taken up a lot of your time, so
That's
I
okay.
guess I will wrap up my bad English and not bore you anymore today, because I can talk about ZetaChain for hours, just like Denise like to talk about Cosmos. I like to talk about ZetaChain.
No worries, and thank you for sharing those words. You know, we're talking about open sourcing ZetaChain today, and I think you're a really inspirational role model for how you can grow in the community and contribute in non-technical ways. So very cool. Everyone, you're listening to Slem. He's the lead ZetaChain ambassador and head of the CIS region, and you can surely find him in Discord. Slem, thanks for coming on ZetaRadio.
Thank you. Thank you all.
All right,
Bye-bye.
cheers. We got a couple Zeta app partners in the waiting room here, and I don't want to keep them too long. So we're going to close out with ecosystem. Couple big picture highlights. We released the Zeta app page on zetachain.com/ecosystem. So that is live. Over 100 partners across different crypto categories and parts of the ecosystem. And then we just launched an ecosystem mapping contest, which is going through July 20th. The submissions coming in are phenomenal so far, and you can check socials for details on where to submit. Now, let's invite some Zeta builders to the stage. Joining us is Tu Fan, the founder and CEO of DSig, a new multi-sig vault app in the Zeta ecosystem. Tu, thanks for joining us.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Good morning. So multi-sig vaults are definitely important tools for Web3 organizations. Tell us about DSig and help us understand the difference about your approach compared to a player we might know like Gnosis Safe, for example.
Okay, well, good question. So, first of all, this is a shorthand of a decentralized signature, so it's quite easy to remember the name. So, the decentralized is quite different. Is our different from Gnosis. So, this is a chain agnostic multi-sig wallet that empower by path-tested TSS and MPC. If you didn't know, TSS is Threshold Signature Scheme and MPC multi-party computation technology. So this is a design to provide an owner-friendly multi-sig experience to Web3 DAO owner, project co-founder, game view, or even some kind of NFT treasury management. So it's offer a lightweight scaling speed and endless expansion on our blockchain. So it's quite different from Gnosis. When Gnosis and DCS is programmed to provide enhanced security for multi-sig, but Gnosis it heavily rely on smart contract. In opposites, DCS it heavily relies on off-chain computation. So these properties help us to bring three great features to user. The first one is scalability. So Genesis app, as you know, is specifically designed for Ethereum and blockchain smart, like a EVM smart contract, while this is a blockchain agnostic solution, as I just mentioned. So this is can use with multiple layer 1, layer 2, anything you can imagine. So it's offer flexibility for the group that can span across different blockchains. And the second one is vulnerability when Genesis app use smart contract to implement multi-sig logics, which expose user to potential smart contract exploit, of course. But in other hands, this is smart contractless. So which means there are no single point of failure to be exploited. And the last one is cost effectiveness. So you imagine that you have a DAO with 1K members. So every time you add a new member, you may cost $2 on Ethereum network. So 1,000 member may cost you $2,000. It's super expensive. But in other hands, Genesis, this is off-chain. So that means it's feeless, and you pay nothing to manage the DAO, the community that you are the owner.
Very nice. And so just last week, DSIG launched on ZetaChain testnet, and that is live for beta testing. Why partner with ZetaChain? Maybe talk about how cross-chain might play into some of the capabilities of DSIG's tech in the future.
So partnership between DSIG and ZetaChain bring many benefits, of course. The first, I think, interoperability. So as you know, that ZetaChain's omni-chain capability will help DSIG achieve true interoperation by allowing it to support transferring assets natively between multiple blockchains. So, for example, you can transfer from Bitcoin to Ethereum and vice versa without kind of a bridge, right? So this simplify asset management and provide a unified interface. Also maximize the unit's feature for each project. Product adoption of DSIG wallets is expected, aligned with our vision of mass adoption in Web3 world. User base growth is something I also want to mention. Through ZetaChain integration, DSIG can reach users across diverse blockchains and expanding DSIG market. The last one I love to emphasize is vision alignment. So DSIG share the same vision as ZetaChain when our slogan is multi-sig, multi-chain. So multi-chain's crypto ecosystem is something I wish to become a contributor in it. So this means the partnership could offer a unified, user-friendly, and secure digital asset management solution that seamlessly integrate on every single asset blockchains without any issue, I guess. So cross-chains and multi-sig go hand in hand. So one thing I want to add in is I think that another chance is go in the next year. DAO, they want to operate their action, they want to buy assets from multiple chains. But on Genesis, you just can run a single DAO on a single chain. So by using this on ZetaChain, that open a very promising world, very promising space for DAO owner can process, can help their DAO to go to the universe of multi-chains. Yeah, thanks.
Multi-sig for multi-chain. You got 1,000 people listening that will coin you with that phrase. So, yeah, what Tu is describing here, what single DAO that spans across chains, the ability to move assets around different chains interoperably. He's talking about ZRC20 tokens on ZetaChain. ZRC20 is like ERC20, but you can move it to and from all chains. And so in this context, you have, as Tu described, a true multi-chain vault that spans all chains. And this is the type of DAO tooling infrastructure that we have to design for, because users live across many different networks. So really cool stuff that you're building. And your team is running a campaign right now, Safeguard Summer Adventures. I believe the aim is to get folks familiar with your technology. Maybe you can share a bit about that and what's coming for DSIG.
Yeah. Thanks for asking. That's something definitely I want to talk about. So right now the Safeguard Summer Adventures campaigns is a 3-month series of explorational guests organized by DSIG and to celebrate the beta mainnet launch. The DSIG wallet. So the campaign to educate users about the importance of multi-sig nature solution in the Web3 world. So by partnering with 5-layer blockchains, I think that will create a great campaign for people to enjoy. In the second chapter, we call this is Summer Vote Multi-Chain Edition. So this event is point to incentivize and reward DSIG and ZetaChain active contributor who will be spending time and efforts getting to know how to work, what we offer, and giving valuable feedback to us through the beta testing quest. So this is your chance to unleash the magic and potential of the true omnichannel network, win incredible reward, and discover the value behind the combination of DSIG and the ZetaChain ecosystem. As a little bit, I want to share a little bit about what next in a DSIG roadmap. So the beta mainnet launch DSIG is a significant milestone, and the Safeguard Summer Adventure campaign is a part of our product efforts to enhance user education and engagement with DSIG and partner. However, our ultimate goal is to build an MVC network that can generate incentive for nodes to execute MVC operation, such as secret sharing random number or blinding voting. If you are familiar with some kind of a cryptography terminology, so you will feel exciting about it. So, and the adventure campaign is our first step to introduce many advanced technology to user, which can compile with great feature on ZetaChain and create, a lot of use case for user. So yeah, so to learn more about future plans and roadmap on this, we recommend you guys to following us on Twitter and DSIG Lab. This where we provide the most updated insight to our upcoming development feature and incentivize something. Yeah, thanks.
Everyone, that's Tu Fan, the founder and CEO of DSIG. App is available for download in the Chrome extension store. I already created a vault with Brandon, the other speaker on the call. And yeah, you can follow them at DSIG Labs on Twitter as they gear up for launch with ZetaChain. Tu Fan, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks.
Great. And last but not least, I have a new Zeta app partner that has not yet been revealed to the market. Joining us on the line is Roy Liu, the former head of business and marketing at Tron. He was also an early member at popular games you may have played, like Plants vs. Zombies, Bejeweled, among other projects. And Roy is now the co-founder of Byte City, ZetaChain's latest partnership. I believe he's joined by Dev Nesh as well on the team. Are you guys with us?
Yes.
Right.
How are you guys?
We're doing well. Nice. Thanks for waiting.
No problem.
Yeah, so you guys have been developing Byte City open world metaverse gaming project. You're also focused on supporting crypto and different on-chain functionality. Maybe give us an intro on the team and catch us up on what you guys are building.
Right. I mean, like, we think. I mean, my background coming from Web2, obviously, over 10 years in traditional gaming, free-to-play gaming, mobile gaming, advertising, mobile advertising, and in crypto over 6 years. I remember Tron, like, went through the rabbit holes of the roller coaster ride. Kicking out deals, doing the marketing for Tron. So that forms a unique perspective for me to combining experience from both Web2 side and Web3 side. And when it comes to 21, with NFT as becoming a mainstream thing, that hits me and seeing that, hey, you know what? This is time for me to to start my own metaverse venture and dedicate to the metaverse. Why metaverse? I think several. Number one, it's regardless of what people say on the metaverse right now, we do know metaverse is thriving. Like take Fortnite, take Roblox for example, millions daily playing these products, right? Yet I think that's a perfect example, a host for mass adoption, right? I think when during the bear, every Web3 project needs to everybody is building, which is perfect, but also we're thinking when the next ball comes, what's the actual utility? How do we penetrate more than just liquidity injection? Rather get to the everydays of life. How can I show to my wife what I'm doing? How can I show my kids what we are doing? How can they also enjoy the same thing, as easily as they enjoy whatever experience in Web2, right? So, I mean, Anchor and I, we talked about the ZetaChain early on. The whole concept of, hey, you know what? There's so many blockchains out there. If there's Omnichain on top of that connecting it all, I think it's a fantastic idea. Because this mimics to my knowledge back in the Web2 days, where all these like JVMs, like Java virtual machines, plus different like coding layers that allowing people to code once and run everywhere. That was a reality because the world may not need so many blockchains, and or people may not understand so many blockchains. People just need to use and build applications, which explains why ZetaChain's popularity as of today. And the metaverse to us is like it's just another a gateway or a catalyst towards a mass market adoption for the retail consumer internet users to tap into the asset. Because fundamentally, it's not if people play games every day, people play MMO, play games, but that's the metaverse. Because where that's the user who pay in exchange for the experience up to the developer or publisher, right? It's a one-way street. Versus in the metaverse, everybody needs to benefit from the ecosystem. So that is why we need a blockchain. With that said, I think there's a lot of blockchains out there, but most blockchains, there's a lot of innovations here, but most of blockchain offers two key value props. One is the on-chain liquidity. The other is on, the chain-based community. So we see a lot of success on, projects or NFT projects, PFP projects here or there, building early culture on one chain, on one community. But we truly believe, like Zeta believes, is like we should, everybody deserves this opportunity to build a brand, to build a community cross chain, to work with everyone without just have to limit it to one chain, especially bringing the cross chain interoperability. So, in a nutshell, we believe in not just metaverse. We call that metaverse. We call that multiverse, or we can call that as omniverse, right? A place that connects everyone. Consider you have the AOIC ecosystem, which is fantastic, but every brand like from Web 2, Web 3, CPG, KOL, celebrities, every brand deserves to build their own BAOS ecosystem. And here's what we are at By City. We offer the layer of Lego pieces, allowing every brand to build it. So this is the way we are.
Nice. Yeah. If it's not natively cross-chain, is it really a metaverse? I also love the word you use there, gateway. I think one of the things that the ZetaChain ecosystem will be really excited about is that you're striking partnerships with Web2 brands. Samsung, Bruce Lee Family Company is bringing their community to Byte City. I think you're talking to other artists and stuff. I'm not sure what exactly is public and you can share, but
Sure.
the fact is that you have totally different segments of people coming together and mixing in this open world. And I just feel that there's a tremendous impact you could have on so much stuff: media, advertising, gaming, the financial primitives and stuff. Like, where does all of this go? And maybe you could paint that picture.
Yeah. So in the vision of Omniverse, right? Essentially, I think through the blockchain, whichever blockchain it is, it enables us two major functions. One is allows everybody to easily own an asset, but on the flip side, to allow everybody to easily create an asset. In most of the existing use cases, people are emphasizing on the former case, right? Everybody can collect an asset, yada yada. But also, we are interesting to open up the possibility for people to create an asset of their own. You don't necessarily require their own coding as writing smart contract, yada yada, right? But every Joe on the street, as long as they know how to use a phone and log into the social, they can know how to own an asset, but also create their own asset. And then that creates a flow. But also, not just like the Metaverse 1.0, like 2021's, I think a lot of these use cases offers a gallery experience. Like, hey, you know what? It's good to take a look, walk around, see what's exciting. Like Sayonara, I never have to come back again. What do we think is like as a traditional consumer internet use case of the gaming or other cases? This is like it's really about retention. Like, what is the key thing to get people engaged? In a Web3 perspective, everything is about consensus, right? I think the ZetaChain did a fantastic job on the consensus, like how many people here we are today versus, everybody needs a way to engage. Right now, think about there's a in 2021, people are doing AMAs on WeChat, on the Telegram by muting everyone in the text and the copy paste the question and answers. Versus look at 2023 now, we are on Twitter Space over 1,000 people. That's a swift change, and we're getting ourselves ready to see, okay, what's the next step? Where do people engage immersively? Like, how do people use their digital collectible representing their own identity, which is what it's about. Like, every brand has their own consensus. Every individual people have their own consensus. Every brand has a consensus to represent their existence in the digital world and how to connect to each other. And in that sense, we want to connect all these brands, not just the Web 2, but also mainstream, but also CPGs across the board. Yes, that's why we have, our partnership. If you go to our Twitter, Play by City, you will see our partnership with Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee as the culture icon, especially this July. I mean, this month we welcomed his 50th anniversary of his passing. It's already half a century, guys. Can you believe it? But we are embracing Bruce Lee community, over 40 million of that onto Byte City. So we have not just a PFP. Actually, we don't have a PFP. We have Outdoor, the avatar of Bruce Lee out there for people to play and engage, but most importantly, as an immersive ceremony event to welcome Bruce Lee into as a first debut in the metaverse. And it's going to be an immersive event where people can just light up lanterns and also send wishes. And the wishes, guess what, will be maintained on blockchain, right? Because we believe the different variety of use of blockchain and to make everything an asset, make everything immortal on the blockchain, and then make it that experience super accessible for everyone. This is how we see everything is changing across the board. And to your point earlier, yes, we're like every brand we work with, we help them using our Lego pieces to become their own BAYC ecosystem. But doesn't mean they work on their own like individual sandbox. We also help to facilitate these brands to cross over, and that is the real engagement lives. Like you can see, like potential fashion brand crossover with Bruce Lee. You can see potentially a phone manufacturer to cross over with Bruce Lee, and there's a lot of possibility. Actually, sky's the limit right here. And we're super excited to partner with the ZetaChain as our close partner on this.
Zeta Knights meet Bruce Lee avatars in Byte City. It's going to be pretty epic. And once you experience this, you'll realize that it's a whole lot more engaging than Discord and Twitter. Plus, you have the NFT identity and all the crypto functionality you guys are building. So let's talk about that. So like word on the street is that ZetaChain minting site on testnet is being worked on as we speak. And listeners will be able to mint a token that allows them to claim a Zeta Knight avatar skin in Byte City. Maybe you could share a little bit about the initiative.
Sure. I wonder which street was it? Maybe Zeta Street. But I believe that we're super excited for this collaboration, right? I mean, we've been working with Anchor, working the core Zeta team for a long time, and we finally we're super excited to finally kick it off, and also providing the seamless integration to Zeta Knight. I think it's a really fantastic developing experience. So I believe our goal and our contribution to the Zeta ecosystem is be the omniverse for Zeta, the metaverse layer for Zeta, and all participants of the applications, utilities on the Zeta. Now, we welcome everyone to come to later this week, which we announced the Claim app that we launched on Zeta Knight, where everyone on Zeta can come in and claim their NFT, which represents their own Zeta avatar that is playable and usable within Byte City. So that within Byte City, you can be exposed to opportunities to open to the brands and collect all these free drops and also engaging activities between different game brands and avatars. So that is something we're super excited about. So be prepared for an announcement coming later this week.
Excellent. And before we wrap up here, Devnash, if you want to say a quick hello, maybe introduce your role. I'm sure the community will meet you soon.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Hey, everyone. Name's Devansh, part of the Byte City team here as well, along with Roy, working on the growth side of the ecosystem. Pretty excited to be here and collaborate with ZetaChain, of course. A great team to work with, and excited to tap into the community here. As Roy mentioned, we'll have the Byte City mint app that will be live on the Zeta testnet later this week, which will give exclusive ZetaChain and Zeta Knight avatars. The minting will occur on the ZetaChain testnet, and all the holders will be eligible to claim the Zeta Knight avatar in Byte City game after the campaign is completed, after the mint has been completed. Though a blog will be posted later this week that describes the whole process, the timelines, and the details regarding the testnet campaign. So me and the team are very excited to roll this blog out and just engage with ZetaChain community overall this week. And yeah, thanks for inviting us over. This has been great. That's a large amount of listeners, and excited to collab with y'all.
Super. Yeah, people are going to be pumped about this, especially Slim on the panel and his community. Great. So yeah, that's Devnash, and you just heard from Roy, co-founder of Byte City. They are the newest Zeta app metaverse partner, dropping this week. You can follow updates at Play Byte City on Twitter, and we will communicate to you as well. And we'll see you in the Byte City metaverse. Devnash and Roy, thanks for coming on the panel.
Thanks for inviting
us. Yeah, thanks for having us over.
Great. So we went a bit over here, but that wraps up this month's ZetaRadio live session. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in and sticking through this. Congrats on open sourcing ZetaChain. Really, this is a huge milestone, and we look forward to building a great connected crypto ecosystem. We will catch you next time. Thanks.